The first site on the trail is Parliament House, an imposing stone structure in classical Corinthian style. The columns are made from marble from Kapunda. Construction commenced in 1874 and took a whopping 60 years to complete. The dark grey marble selected for these columns actually caused quite a controversy. When you think of marble, you probably think of that pure glistening white colour, and opponents to using this marble really thought that this dark grey colour was substandard. It wasn't up to scratch to that lovely white marble colour that we've come to know. But this dark grey marble was available in the nearby mining town of Kapunda, making it a natural selection to construct our beloved Parliament House. So you see all these weird and wonderful patterns streaking across our marble here. It's not generally what you think of when I say marble, but here we are, and I think it's just gorgeous. So marble starts life as a limestone, and limestone starts life usually on the ocean floor as dead sea critters die, and when they die they settle on the sea floor and their fossils and shells form layers of sediment. Now, as the sediment gets buried, because we're adding layers on top, there's lots of pressure, and when there's pressure, there's heat, and heat means that our layers of fossils and shells recrystallize. And the recrystallization process seals up any fractures, it sticks them all together nice and tight, and eventually out pops a beautiful marble. So next time you walk past our beautiful Parliament House building, you can think to yourself that this stone is made out of dead sea animals. How crazy is that? So let's now go to the original marble quarry near Kapunda and find out what other stories these wonderful rocks can tell us.
The marble came from a quarry near Kapunda where the Adelaide Hills meet the Flinders Ranges. The modern name of the quarry is Canunga Hill, but it was originally named Carrara. That paid homage to the Carrara marble quarries in Italy that are famous for producing really high-grade, fine-grained white marble that's often used in carving statues and other sculptures. So to a degree it was a marketing ploy. It was really a matter of selling the colour because the quality of the stone was already there. And clearly it worked because this is the stone that was ultimately used. This is Steve Fallon from Barossa Quarries, and they're the current operators of the quarry.
From my understanding, first used by the State Parliament building on North Terrace in Adelaide. There's very little decomposed material, perfect marble. The traditional method to quarry dimensional stone has been drilling a series of holes. Certainly in pre-industrial days it would have been done with a steel drill rod with a hardened tip. And very simply would have been whacked by 2 or 3 guys with a hammer, with a very game person holding the drill and turning that drill constantly while his very good friends who you'd trust with your life were hitting on the drill. It used a couple of thin wedges which are then hit through the top. There would have been a crack that would have started to follow the grain to the next hole, to the next hole, and to the next hole. Would have been a bit of joy when it all went well and there's a nice straight line. There would have been a lot of disappointment on a lot of days of having a piece of marble being split off only to find that it's cracked.
While I was looking for the original Carrara Quarry, I came across an interesting gentleman by the name of Dudley Heinze. He'd worked a nearby quarry in the 1940s, and he had an interesting story to tell about how quarrying was done when it all started.
That mine originally started when the Whyalla smelter works were going. And they were carting ironstone from round here and that quarry to ship it up to Whyalla. This is in horse and cart days. And they had a gantry across this bloody big hole. They used to lift it up. And the wagons would all back up against the face of this quarry. And they'd dump it on the wagons, and all the horses and people carted up to Kapunda. But apparently one day the horses got a bit of a fright or something and moved back, and the bloody wagon went arse. So we had into the pit, kill the bloke, kill the horses. The management went down and had a look. Yep, they're all dead, everything. And it was pretty hot or something, and they were short of manpower, so they said it's got to keep going. So I went down to the main road here somewhere and got some people that were sitting there waiting for a job. And that's how it all started, really.
Now let's look a little closer at the geology of the marble in the Carrara Quarry. We're right at the end of the Cambrian period, when life was really exploding on the planet. And in fact, all this limestone is a reflection of that. Marble starts out life as limestone. usually laid down on the floor of an ocean somewhere in roughly horizontal layers. And you can see a few of those layers exposed in this rock face here. But they're nearly vertical. And that's because after the limestone layers were laid down, movement in the tectonic plates squeezed those layers until they were folded up into an almost perfect U shape like that. The sparkling that you can see in the broken face of the marble here is crystals of calcite. And that tells you that the rock has been recrystallized from its original limestone form. To do that recrystallization, you need heat. To get the dense, fine-grained marble that's ideal for carving and building stone, you need to give the limestone just the right amount of heat. Not enough heat, and it won't recrystallize to fill up all the cavities and fractures. Too much heat, and the crystals will grow too large, the marble will be coarse-grained, it'll fracture easily, and it's not so resistant to weathering. You get just the right amount of heat, usually about 1 to 2 kilometres away from the edge of a granite. Geological maps of this area tell us that there aren't any granites outcropping in the near vicinity. But in 3 dimensions, it's highly likely that there's a granite 1 to 2 kilometres down below us here in the quarry, and that granite supplied the heat to do the recrystallization to form this really high quality marble.
So Parliament House, with its granite staircases below and marble columns above, is actually a geological model for what happened in South Australia 500 million years ago.